You want me to put that on my Tudor?
This One's Wife. Pink Pancakes versus Pat Tillman. Hello, I'm HG Tudor. There has been some uproar surrounding the decision of ESPN to award the Pat Tillman Award to Prince Harry. More about that in a moment. For those of you who are unfamiliar with who Pat Tillman was, he was an American professional football player. He played for the Arizona Cardinals of the NFL, and he left his sports career and enlisted in the US Army in May 2002 in the aftermath of the September 11th attacks. His service in Iraq and Afghanistan, as well as his subsequent death, were the subject of national attention. This increased after it was revealed that he was killed by friendly fire. He played college football for the Arizona State Sun Devils, earning first-team All-American honors in 1997. After 4 seasons in the NFL, he then joined the Army Rangers and served several combat tours before he was killed in the mountains of Afghanistan. He received the Silver Star and Purple Heart medals. He was a decorated individual who gave his life in the defense of his country. He was seen as an American hero, and various organizations have established awards in his honor. For example, Rosemont Football have a Pat Tillman Award, and they describe on their website, "We created this award to honor the player that most exemplifies the willingness to serve. That distinction is one that former NFL football player Pat Tillman demonstrated in how he lived his life before being tragically killed in Afghanistan. Pat Tillman was known for being a leader by example and going out of his way to help others. People that described him said he was always very humble about any accomplishments that came his way. This award represents this guy on our team who most served others and exemplified Pat Tillman while never directing attention to himself." So that's how Rosemont describe the award. East West Shine Bowl, they have a Pat Tillman Award. And it's presented to a player who best exemplifies character, intelligence, sportsmanship, and service. The honour celebrates a student-athlete's outstanding achievements and conduct in and out of the game. There's also a Pat Tillman Foundation, which has a Champion Award, which celebrates Pat's legacy and belief that we should always strive to be part of something bigger than ourselves by recognizing an individual for remarkable civic contributions, extraordinary fortitude and spirit of service. There have been various Champions Awards in the past from the Foundation, including Brian Stevenson, Fazia Kufi, Jon Stewart and John Field, Senator John McCain. There's the Make Your Mark Award, which celebrates Pat's legacy and belief that we should always strive to be part of something bigger than ourselves. And it recognises a Tillman Scholar for embodying the values of service, scholarship, humble leadership, and impact in their work and daily life. And then there are various different Tillman Scholars who've won this award that are then mentioned. It's quite clear that Pat Tillman is held in very high regard as a consequence of being seen as a national hero, both in terms of embodying sportsmanship and also patriotism by serving in the US Army. Accordingly, there are various organizations that have various awards, and there is a further Pat Tillman Award which is being held at what's known as the ESPYs, which is an award ceremony hosted by ESPN. But this has not gone down well at all. And it's symptomatic of where Prince Harry finds himself, given the reaction to this. The New York Post reports by Nicholas McIntyre, Pat McAfee rips ESPN for honouring Prince Harry with Pat Tillman Award, trying to piss people off. Pat McAfee blasted ESPN's plan to award Prince Harry the Pat Tillman Award for service at the upcoming ESPYs. During the Pat McAfee show on Friday, McAfee accused his own network of trying to piss people off for honouring the Duke of Sussex with an award named after the late NFL safety turned Army Ranger. The award is handed out to those who have made significant contributions in the world, which echoes Tillman's legacy. It's going to Prince Harry, McAfee said, who I don't even think is a prince anymore, right? He said, don't call me that. See, why does the ESPYs do this shit? A member of McAfee's crew, Boston Connor, called the decision to award Harry asinine, while others said the award should have gone to someone from the United States. This is like actually the most embarrassing thing I've seen in my entire life, he added. Former NFL player and co-host A.J. Hawke questioned McAfee, wanting clarification that the award was for sports people, which the show's host explained that it is given to somebody who has committed their life to sport and everything like that. Prince Harry, being named the recipient of the Pat Tillman Award, left a stale taste in McAfee's mouth. When you do something like this, you know the immediate reaction from humans and from sports fans and from people with common sense and brains is going to be like, hey, don't be putting our fucking guy with that guy. But, did his people know, you publicly put me up for this award? You're just asking basically every person that considers themselves American and saying, this is bullshit, especially at a sports award type of thing. I assume he knew that, McAfee said. They didn't expect that. McAfee, who says he doesn't know much about Harry except for the South Park episode and The Crown, failed to bring up the royals' role in creating the Invictus Games during his rant. The Prince, who quit royal life in 2020, launched the Invictus Games in 2014 as multi-sport Paralympic-styled games for wounded or injured servicemen and veterans. Harry will be presented the award at the July 11th awards show in honour of his tireless work in making a positive impact for the veteran community through the power of sport, the network announced. This one is for our entire service community, Harry said after learning of the honour. Harry also served in the British Armed Forces for 10 years, including 2 tours of duty in Afghanistan. The announcement was made on Thursday by ESPN. The award was created in 2014 and has been given to a person with a strong connection to sports who has served others in a way that echoes the legacy of Tillman. Other recipients have included Jake Wood, Kirstie Ennis, Kim Clavel, Marcus Rashford, Gretchen Evans, and the Buffalo Bills training staff. So Harry finds himself receiving this award. And it's not gone down well. And it's not just McAfee that's been critical of it. Across social media and the media as a whole, this decision for Harry to be awarded with an award that is associated with an American national hero is something that has really upset people. Below the line, observations are as follows. Undefined rights. Who to criticise first? Harry, who pretends he's for the veterans but does not turn the honour down and asks that it be awarded to a more deserving veteran. Serena Williams, who put Harry receiving the award in her demands if she was to host. The person who had the final say and sanctioned Harry receiving the Pat Tillman Award for his endless work, knowing there is hundreds working tirelessly behind the scenes to put this event together, while Harry, who only shows up for the publicity, is everywhere but doing the hard day-to-day tasks involved. ESPN, who's jumping on the bandwagon of trends instead of standing behind the authentic respect and recognition of the Pat Tillman Award, thumbs down to all of them. Jeremiah Bennett. These two evacuate their bodily functions on everyone they come into contact with or are even remotely associated with, no matter how distant. They've now done that to Pat Tillman. This is all a distraction from very serious questions asked by the judge in Harold's UK court case. Fairly scathing observations. Somebody writes, I'm shocked as to why they would select such a controversial and divisive individual to receive the award. There are recipients that are far more fitting. There are individuals working in the veteran community that are doing tremendous things to assist veterans. Somebody else points out that Harry didn't actually create the Invictus Games. It was the palace that needed to create a new image for him to counter his party boy image. And therefore his private secretary was the one that came up with the idea. Somebody else comments, this award will be forever cheapened by this clown. He should be kicked out of the United States. A man gives up a good NFL career to join the army and really do something. He dies. An award is given yearly in his honour, and ESPN wants to give it to a guy who did what? Married a TV celeb, then gave up his family, that England doesn't want back and America doesn't want either? Really? And on go the comments. And this just demonstrates and sums up where Prince Harry finds himself. Once reasonably well liked, now disliked and criticised justifiably. It's also indicative, of course, of the lack of popularity that the Sussexes have within the United States, that being the recipient of an award, a prestigious award, results in this vitriol being shown towards Harry. The fact that the Sussexes are increasingly reviled, and this is what's behind the reaction. That people don't think, yeah, he's done quite some good stuff with the Invictus Games. Fair play to him. Let him, get this award. Or some people will say, well, I'm not really sure what he's done, but fair enough. But the fact is that he and this one's wife are so disliked by so many people, being seen as grifters, spongers, complainers, and whiners, that it really does irritate people to think that a hero of the United States, somebody who was humble, who was involved in true service, who was an accomplished athlete and then Army Ranger, somebody who ultimately sacrificed his own life, to be associated with a pair of self-absorbed twonks that are the Sussexes is found to be, understandably so, really offensive. And it really is a useful measure of how the Sussexes are seen. And this is in the United States. This isn't about the UK vilifying them. This isn't about Australia laughing at them. This is the United States. And for the outpouring of dissatisfaction and criticism to come at the association of Harry with this award is a very, very clear signal to the Sussexes of how disliked they are in the very place that they thought that they would find their fortune. The strength of feeling that exists in relation to this award being presented to Harry is certainly growing. Indeed, at change.org, a petition has been launched headed Request ESPN to Rethink awarding the Pat Tillman Award to Prince Harry. It has over 28,000 signatures. One of the individuals that signed the petition explained why it mattered to them. They explained that Pat Tillman's stories touched that person's life deeply. His patriotism, loyalty and ultimate sacrifice for his military squad are undeniably remarkable. Prince Harry, while a former military officer, has been involved in controversies that call into question his suitability to receive an honour of this magnitude. He has faced accusations of endangering his squadron by publicly revealing military kills. The prince also allegedly targeted his own father, Prince Charles, during a flyover. It was mentioned in Spare. More recently, his role in the Invictus Games, a platform meant to celebrate the resilience and dedication of veterans, has been criticised as self-centred. Of course, there are two major criticisms in relation to Invictus. Firstly, that Harry just shows up and waltzes around rather than getting involved in the rolling up your sleeves kind of work. In fairness, when you're a figurehead of an organisation of that nature, it is more about you bringing good publicity. The problem he has is that these days his publicity tends to be rather mixed and leaning much more towards being bad publicity. Furthermore, the Invictus Games have been hijacked by you-know-who, This One's Wife. She sought to make it This One's Wife Games, both Dusseldorf and when they did the promotional work at Whistler. This is entirely understandable for reasons that I've explained previously in relation to her narcissism, that her lack of boundary recognition causes her to believe that the games are all about her, because she believes everything ought to be about her. The petitioner also explained that in contrast, Pat Tillman exemplified duty, honour and sacrifice. He gave up his career to serve his country after the 9/11 attacks. Awarding this honour to someone who doesn't reflect the award's intent diminishes its value and disrespects Tillman's memory. It would be interesting to see if Harry picked up on this strength of feeling about him being the recipient and declined it. That would certainly improve his standing, but I very much doubt that would happen. Unfortunately, his own strong narcissistic traits of pride and resentment becoming exacerbated in situations such as this, and moreover, certainly his wife would be urging him to accept it, because of course what Harry achieves is an extension of her, and she would want to see such a prestigious award being linked to her also. It demonstrates again the poor advice that either the Sussexes are receiving, or alternatively, the advice that they're getting is telling them to try and avoid this kind of thing, and they're not listening. Because there really has been an outpouring of dismay, disgust, and even anger in relation to Harry being given this award. Clearly, Pat Tillman is held with the highest of regard, and quite rightly so, as a consequence of the way that he's conducted himself in the past and the activities that he'd undertaken. For his memory to be sullied by Harry being awarded the Pat Tillman Award is something that does not sit well with many people. Moreover, this really ought to ring out loud and clear to Harry: you are not deemed worthy of receiving this award because of the affiliation to the person whose name it stands under, and you should take note of that. You should start to wake up and understand that your own standing has been reduced as a consequence of your behaviour, which has been shaped and influenced by that of your wife, that you've marched into the awful shared fantasy that she has created, and you have become someone that is now so disliked that people are calling for you not to receive this award. That notwithstanding your well-intentioned behaviours in relation to Invictus, they're not enough when it comes to salvaging your reputation, which has been sullied as a consequence of your behaviour towards your family and the public, all driven by the influence of your wife. This ought to be a wake-up call for the Prince of Pink Pancakes, that he ought to realise that the strength of feeling that is being expressed with regard to him being a recipient of the Pat Tillman Award ought to cause him to pause for a moment and think, am I doing the right thing in accepting it? And indeed, instead, were he to decline it or to offer that it go to somebody else, then that would be seen as a more impressive response. Of course, there'll be those that will suggest that he's bowing to public pressure, but sometimes public pressure is right, and it is in this instance. If people didn't care, so be it, but they do. And the fact that they have responded in the numbers that they have, with the commentary that they have, shows you two things: the high regard that Pat Tillman has been held in and continues to be held in, and also the fact that Harry has now become so disliked. And he really ought to start sitting up and take notice of this, and then understand, why has he got himself in this position? Why has he fallen so far? Why is he in such a difficult situation with regard to a public which hitherto was favourable towards him? It's time for him to do some hard thinking. It's time for him to embrace some difficult answers, but they're answers that will lead him to a much better place. What are your thoughts in relation to Harry being a recipient of the Pat Tillman Award? Do you think he deserves it? Do you think there's a brouhaha about not so much? Or are you outraged like many other people? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section. I'm HG Tudor. Thank you for listening.